Hello, it's John Heaton, and this evening I have two special guests with me. I'm in England again, by the way, somewhere in England. And on my right, Dave Costello, and on my left, Mike Abbott. And we thought tonight we'd review Steve Winwood's first solo album from 1977. So a bit of background. Traffic, the group that he was in before he went solo, made their last album in 1974, When the Eagle Flies. And then for various reasons they decided, or Steve decided, enough was enough. So it took him quite a while, as you can see, to make his first solo album, but this was it. And it came out, and I think it's a pretty good album. I think we're all agreed on it. Let's start off by saying that quite a few of the tracks were actually written by Winwood Capaldi, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6. So it's almost a Traffic album in that respect. And the musicians are Andy Newmark and Willie Weeks, the famous rhythm section also used by George Harrison. And Viv Stanshall also writes the lyrics to one of the songs. Mike, would you like to say a few words about this album in general before we get started?
Yeah, I think it's overlooked, and it's actually a very good album. It was also a very nice instrumental version of Time Is Running Out, which is a B-side on a 12-inch single, which could easily have appeared on the album with a bit of rejigging of the track sequences. I think it could be refreshed and updated. I think it's an unfortunately low-key opener, which may have encouraged some people to take the album no further, but I think it's an overlooked, probably a classic, and should be revisited by anyone who thinks they know it, but has perhaps dismissed it.
And that 12-inch single you're talking about?
It's called Penultimate Zone, and it's an
quite
instrumental
rare.
version of Time Is Running Out.
Worth a few quid if you can get hold of it.
You can find it if you look hard enough, yeah. But only on vinyl.
Okay, Dave, anything you want to say?
Nothing much to add to that.
Okay, so as Mike said, a bit of a low-key opener, Hold On. It's an okay track, it shuffles along nicely. It's just nothing very sort of attention-grabbing. But then Time Is Running Out is more upbeat. In fact, it's about the only upbeat song on the album. And as I say, Winwood Capaldi and Willie Weeks and Andy Newmark on drums. So a very great musicianship and a nice sounding track. And I think good use of synthesizer on this track, Mike, I think. Whereas on the following album, maybe we think he overdid it a bit.
I think.
But on this album...
I think the 80s albums are probably all showing their age with the dated synthesizers, whereas this album...
it's a band.
But if you wanted anyone to play synthesizer on an album, it would have to be Steve Winwood, because he can inject more soul into it than anyone probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, Midland Maniac closes side one, and it's about the only track that I can think of where Steve actually wrote the words. So not that the words are much to write home about, but it's a nice track, it's a nice melody. Any thoughts spring to mind, Mike, about this track?
I think it's probably a very personal, intimate lyric that one can either choose to try and dissect or not. But the music is what grabs me, and that's where I always start with Steve Winwood. And the lyrics are, if you're interested in that sort of thing, an added bonus. But for me, I'm not too bothered about the lyrical content. It's a very strong personal song, and as always with Steve Winwood, something that I personally relate to.
And why would it have been called Midland Maniac? Did he come from the Midlands originally?
He came from Birmingham, so I suspect it's autobiographical to some extent. But
Okay, so Birmingham, great city. Steve Winwood, Jeff Lynne, anyone else you'd care to mention? Denny Lane? Okay. So we move on to side two, and this track has got lyrics from Viv Stanshall, former of the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, who'd also written the words for Dream Gerard from When the Eagle Flies. Interesting words. I'm not sure what this track means. Mike, you said you weren't really interested in lyrics.
I think it's an African, it was inspired by a friend of his, an African friend, and it means only the dead weep for the dead.
Okay.
Wow.
Or that's the African line that contained within the song. Vacant chair presumably refers to somebody that's passed away.
Okay, thanks.
That's my understanding.
That makes it a lot clearer. Yeah. Musicianship a bit different on this track. Junior Marvin is on guitar,
Yeah.
Someone named Brother James on percussion.
I think their island, they're on the
Session.
island label, and
Yeah.
probably had something to do with Bob Marley.
Okay, good.
So
Julia Marvin, was he Police and Thieves?
I think that's the very same, Dave. Yes.
Good. There's some
Yeah.
reggae experts here.
Yeah.
Lux In, the next track. For me, probably the most forgettable one in that I can't really remember it other than there's a catchy bass line from Willie Weeks.
That's good enough.
It's a good track.
It's probably a waltz. Isn't it a waltz time? Isn't it 6/8? Well, it's quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah.
That deserves a mention. It's a rock album, but it's a waltz. It's in asymmetrical
Okay.
time.
Good point. Thank you. So we move to probably my favourite track, and Dave, I think probably your favourite track.
Yeah, I think it's one of Steve's best inspiring ballads, really.
What's it called?
Let Me Make Something in Your Life. Very full of hope and optimism.
And two great guitar solos.
And it's got guitar solos that confirm what Eric Clapton said, that he wasn't even the best guitarist in Blind Faith.
Yeah.
Let alone best vocalist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this track is if you don't know Steve Winwood, that last track is worth the admission price alone. It is an absolute all-time classic, and I think I said in one of my earlier videos, it's in his top 3 ballads of all time.
Does he say that as well?
No, I say that. I don't know what he says.
Well,
What's
What do you
Steve's
think?
own opinion of
I
this?
I don't know for sure, but I've never heard him talk about the album, and stories that I've heard told by people that were involved in the sessions suggest that he was not particularly interested in the finished, polished product. Was as usual just interested in playing music, and presumably if it happened to make a good album, that was for other people to sort out rather than him. And I think there's a feeling that the album wasn't in the hands of an accomplished producer, and that may explain to some extent why it wasn't released and promoted as a classic at the time, and it sort of just sneaked out and disappeared. However, I would thoroughly recommend reappraisal for anyone that's got any interest in anything Steve Winwood has ever done.
Has it been remastered?
Not
Don't
that I'm
think it
aware
has.
of.
Don't
No.
think it has. No. Having said that, and that's something else I would like to say, it was the engineering by Phil Brown is, like everything Phil Brown touches, very, very good. Doesn't need remastering. It's excellent.
And do you think there's any bonus material if they were to do an expanded version on CD, or is that about all he was recording at the time?
They could have. I'm not sure if there are any outtakes.
Plain.
I'm sure.
Ferengay Airport has reached Gloucestershire. Wiltshire.
The instrumental penultimate zone would
Yeah,
make
that
a
would be a
worthy
good
addition to a deluxe version, but not sure what else was around.
I seem to remember having a single of While You See a Chance, and Vacant Chair was the B-side.
I think it is the B-side.
Yeah, that was a later
Yeah.
release, I think. But yeah, I saw that.
That's the Chinese takeaway.
You dare answer that? Okay,
So it's not ready.
we'll
Is it?
probably get ready to review further Winwood albums later, like Ark of a Diver and Talking Back to the Night, in particular, worthy of investigation. This was his first one, and as we're all saying, it's a bit low key, didn't do brilliantly, but we all recommend it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.